Ever been on Route 66 at night? I mean, not the touristy parts with the diners and old gas stations. I'm talking about the stretch in the middle of nowhere, between Arizona and California. No lights, no other cars, just you, your rig, and the desert that seems to go on forever. I've been trucking for over 15 years, and let me tell you, I thought I'd seen it all. Wild animals darting in front of my truck, people doing stupid stuff on the road, even a few close calls with accidents. But that night still makes my skin crawl. It was late, real late, about 2 in the morning. I'd been driving all day and was starting to feel it. You know the kind of tired where your eyes feel heavy, and you start seeing things in the shadows? That kind of tired. But I had a deadline to meet, so I pushed through. The desert was pitch black, just my headlights cutting through the night. The only sounds were the hum of my engine and the occasional crackle of static from the radio. I'd been trying to find a station, but out there, nothing. Just dead air. Then I saw her. At first I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. A figure standing on the side of the road. A woman. She wasn't waving or trying to flag me down, just standing there, staring at me as I drove closer. She had long dark hair and this old-fashioned white dress, like something out of an old wedding photo. Now, I'm not the type to pick up hitchhikers. Too many crazies out there, you know? But something about her, I don't know. She looked so out of place. Who the hell stands on the side of Route 66 in the middle of the night? So, I slowed down, rolled down the passenger window as I pulled up next to her. "You okay? Need a ride?" I asked. She nodded, real slow. Didn't say a word at first, just opened the door and climbed in. Now, up close, she looked even stranger. Her skin was pale, too pale, like she hadn't seen the sun in years. And her eyes, there was something about her eyes. They were hollow, like they didn't belong to her face. I cleared my throat, trying to shake the weird vibe. "Where you headed?" I asked. "Just a few miles up the road," she said. Her voice was soft, almost too soft, like a whisper. I nodded and hit the gas. The road stretched on, empty and dark, and the only sound in the cab was the hum of the engine. She didn't say a word, just sat there, perfectly still, staring straight ahead. Now, most hitchhikers I've picked up, they'll fidget or make small talk. Not her. It was like she wasn't even there. I started feeling the air around me get colder, like someone cranked the AC, but I hadn't touched it. My breath fogged up, and I had to rub the windshield just to see. That's when I noticed something weird. The radio, which had been nothing but static for hours, started crackling again. At first, I thought it had picked up a station, but then I realized it wasn't music or talking. It was whispering. I glanced at the radio, then at her. She was still staring straight ahead, but I swear I saw the corners of her mouth twitch. "You hear that?" I asked, my voice shaking a little. "Hear what?" she said, tilting her head ever so slightly. The whispers grew louder, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. It sounded like a bunch of voices, overlapping, speaking in some language I didn't understand. I tried to focus on the road, but then she spoke again. "You should slow down," she said. I frowned. "Why? It's a straight road." She didn't answer, just pointed ahead. Sure enough, about a quarter mile up, my headlights caught a sharp turn I swear hadn't been there before. If I hadn't slowed down, I'd have gone right off the edge into a ravine. My hands were shaking as I gripped the wheel, trying to process what just happened. When I finally pulled the truck to a stop, I turned to thank her. But she was gone. I mean gone. The seatbelt was still buckled, the door was locked, and there was no way she could have opened it without me hearing. I got out of the truck, looked around with my flashlight, calling out, "Hey, where'd you go?" But there was nothing. Just the desert, quiet and still, like it was holding its breath. I climbed back into the cab, heart pounding. That's when I noticed something on the passenger seat. A single white flower, wilting and dry, like it had been there for years. I sat there for a while, trying to make sense of it all. Finally, I started driving again, but the whole time I couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was still in the cab with me. Every now and then, I'd catch movement in the corner of my eye, but when I turned my head, there was nothing. When I finally pulled into the next truck stop, I told the guy at the counter what happened. He just nodded, like he'd heard it before. "Sounds like you met the hitchhiking ghost," he said, real casual. I laughed, but it didn't feel right. "That's a thing?" "Oh yeah," he said. "Happens on Route 66 all the time. She shows up, warns you about danger, then disappears. Some say she's the spirit of a bride who died on the road. Others say she's just a guardian angel. Who knows?" I didn't stick around long enough to find out. Got my coffee, got back on the road, and finished my route. But let me tell you something. I haven't driven that stretch of Route 66 since. So if you're ever out there in the middle of the night and you see a woman in white, think twice before you stop. She might just save your life, or she might be waiting to take it. That's my story. Believe it or don't, but it's the truth. And trust me, some roads are better left untraveled. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for more terrifying horror stories.